Hello and welcome to Thursday's Zoom. We began Module 158 yesterday. I want to remind everybody that is only a 5-day module. And the biggest thing is your resume, right, Miss Brandy? That's what the biggest assignment that they're going to have this month. So I want to tell you that, but I also want to tell you that next week on Tuesday is Fat Tuesday. We are off. We don't have any class next Tuesday. Does that mean that you won't be able to get into your assignments? Absolutely not. We would never do that to you, right? So you can spend that day off, or you can spend it getting caught up on work that you need to get caught up on. But irregardless, we will be off next Tuesday from school, which means no NCCT class. Hi, Jared. Welcome, welcome. We were just talking about next Tuesday, Jared. It is Fat Tuesday, so no class. All right, so we're going to go ahead and share our screen, and we're going to get the show going. Can everybody see? All right, so Module 158. Why are we here? We're here for a career, right? That means education. We need to sharpen our skills. We need to have vision.
Both places.
Thank you. We need to have vision. We need to increase our interest, build our values, and reach for our goals. So the very first thing that we're going to talk about is understanding personality traits important to employers. There are lots of traits that are important to employers. I mean, that was one of my questions for one of my daily assignments already this week, and I had lots of answers. Integrity, timeliness, honesty, kindness, all of those things are important. But on the very, very top of that tier, it's going to be communication. How do you communicate? Do you communicate effectively? Part of communicating effectively means active listening. It means being good at not only verbal communication, but nonverbal communication. How many of us do a lot more talking than we do listening? I do sometimes. I hate that about myself. I have a point and I want to make it, and I know something and I want to share it, and I'm excited and everybody listen. In our professional careers, we can't do that. We can do that at home. We can do that with our friends. We can do that with our classmates. But in a professional setting, we really, really need to practice effective listening. You have to create an environment of trust and confidence. And how do you build trust? Well, by doing what you're asked to do in a timely manner to the very best of your ability. If your employer knows that they can trust you with a little, they're going to trust you with even more until they can trust you with a lot. I grew up in biblically, they used to always say, how will God trust you with an abundance if he can't trust you with the little he's given you? So the same thing with work. Utilizing feedback, two-way communication, that means taking in the communication and then reiterating. Use of simple languages. Some of us have large vocabularies, right? We don't always need to use a large vocabulary. And avoid information overload, which means, again, don't talk too much, only say what needs to be said, especially in serious conversations. So we're going to talk about professionalism. A person's professionalism is being evaluated from the cover letter to the interview and beyond. Let's stop and take, I'm going to actually take myself off of share. How many of you watch your social media and what you put on your social media? I'm going to tell you, you should. You may think it's my social media, it's nobody's business. Well, guess what? It's your employer's job who they hire, or business who they hire, right? So if you haven't cleaned up your social media, I'm going to encourage you to do so. I'm going to tell you something. If I'm a hiring manager and I am looking at hiring someone for a very important job, and I have a couple of people that I'm looking at that I really am thinking about, I can't make a decision, qualifications are both very equal. Guess what? Social media may be my next thing to look at. If your social media is nasty, guess what? I don't want nobody, you understand what I mean? If it's just negative and it's not good. So clean up your social media. Okay. All right. So we can share some more. Professionalism includes a person's appearance and behaviors. The behaviors include a person's flexibility, punctuality, honesty, attention to detail, time management skills, ability to follow directions, and the ability to prioritize. Okay, now I'm going to ask a real question. Are y'all ready to answer a real question? Okay, if your instructor had to say that they would hire you strictly on your ability to follow directions, how many of you would get hired?
Probably not.
Right? So I only say not to be judgmental or criticize any of you. Work on that now. Work on that skill now. So when you get to your facility, when you get to your career, you're already going to be working on those skill sets that you need to be successful or the most successful. All right. Oop. I'm sharing again. Let's talk about compassion. Compassion is another trait employers look for. Compassion means to have a deep awareness of another's suffering and the desire to lessen it. Dignity and respect are part of providing compassionate care to others. Many people go into healthcare to help others. They may like the technical skills involved with patient care. Providing dignity and respect during patient care is just as important. Compassion and respect help healthcare employees connect to patients and their families. Acts of kindness and thoughtfulness that lessen stress are welcomed by patients. All right, so let's think about this. It's a dignity and respect example. Imagine being a patient in your 70s. You have a walker. You spent 4 months in a wheelchair recovering from a stroke. You are proud to be walking today, even if you are slow. You know that walking is important, so you do not get stiff and then you cannot walk. Sorry, guys. The medical assistant calls you in for the visit. You slowly walk to her and then she takes you down the hall. She is far ahead of you as you slowly make your way. It appears the room is at the end of the long hall. You hear the medical assistant calling to appear to get a wheelchair.
Marsha, I'm sorry, that train is at my house. I had it unmuted to ask you a question.
Sure.
Are we recording?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
you're good.
I saw the record button on my side and I thought we might have been. I'm sorry for the interruption.
No, you're good. I'm glad. Hey, I would rather you stop me and double check before we get all the way through this and there not be a recording. Okay, so let's get back to our scenario. You hear the medical assistant calling to appear to get a wheelchair. She looks back at you and states, "We have a wheelchair for you to speed things up." How do you feel? Do you feel that she values you? Is she showing respect? What do you guys think?
No, that's pretty disrespectful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It's disrespectful.
It is.
Especially since this patient had a stroke, didn't know they were going to be walking again, and very proud of the fact they can walk with a walker.
Exactly.
I mean, she could have went about like asking the patient if they would like a wheelchair, but to make a comment about speeding things up, that's just lack of empathy.
I absolutely agree. Lack of empathy, lack of respect, right? Okay, so now we're going to get right back into things. So you guys just remember, stop and think about how you would want your mother to be treated, your sister to be treated, your instructor to be treated, because she's an old lady too. All right, now we're going to go straight into developing a resume. The purpose of a resume is to market yourself. You want an employer interested in you. You want your resume to be included in those selected for an interview. A resume summarizes your qualifications, education, and experience. Medical assistants must determine what to include in their resume. The resume should be developed before the cover letter is written. Strengths for the posted job should be identified and emphasized on all documents. These documents include the resume, cover letter, and application. And you guys know, applications are not paper anymore, are they? They're all electronic, they're all online. So let's talk about just two of the resume formats. There's a chronological resume format and a combination resume. The most common is the chronological, but the combination is not wrong either. So you can take a look, you can do some research. I personally like the chronological. That's what I like. But again, there's not a whole lot of difference, just a little bit, just a little bit. So who's ready to go on a job interview? Let's talk about it. So how do you prepare for an interview? Now, listen, if you're old school, my first job was at Sbarro's Pizza in the mall. Do I really need to know anything about Sbarro's Pizza in the mall? Well, no, I don't. But Rapides Regional Medical Center needs a coder, needs a biller, needs an admission person, whatever it is, that's a career change. You're gonna wanna look up some things about the facility that you're actually interviewing at, right? That's gonna be very, very impressive, very impressive. So research the facility, find a couple of things that you can put in your little hat so that you can throw it out there when you can. Practice answering potential questions, select interview attire, and prepare for the day of the interview. So we're going to talk about some common questions, and then we're going to go into why they actually are asking. Yes, Miss Brandy, go ahead.
I was just wondering if I could just throw something in there real quick.
Sure.
Just your comment on prepare for the interview. There's a lot of times at the end of an interview when they ask you if you have questions for them. If you have questions, I'm going to tell you now, 9 times out of 10, people don't ask questions. If you ask questions showing that you looked into the company, you know even a little bit about the company and what it's about, that will make you stand out. That will show them she thought about this before she came in here. She wants this job, or he wants this job. That's going to make you stand out. So Ms. Marsh is absolutely right. Prepare yourself and at least have one question that you can give to them that you have. Show your interest.
Well, I'm actually going to give you more than one question because I have a list of potential questions you could ask at the interview here in just a few minutes. So let's talk about some of these. What's the first thing they usually ask you in an interview? Can you tell me a little bit about yourself? What do you know about the company? You did your homework. You know that over 5,000 people work here and blah, blah, whatever it is, statistics, whatever it is, you have some things in your hat because you remember that in your lecture, they said, research the facility, know some statistics, know some things about the facility. Why do you want this job? Not because you got 3 babies and you need to buy groceries. That is we all want a job because we got babies and we need groceries, right? But that's not what they want to hear, right? Why should we hire you? Listen, because you're awesome and there's nobody that can do the job better than you, right? What are your strengths and what are your weaknesses? Don't go in there and say, My weakness is I'm always late, Miss Brandy. No, you think of a weakness that you can make it sound like a strength. My weakness is I have a really tough time with my work home life balance. I'm so dedicated to my work, I have a hard time leaving it at the office. Weakness, but a strength, right? So remember something like that. It's a weakness, but a strength. What are your strengths? What is your greatest achievement? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? It better be working for this company and moving up. They don't want to hear, well, I plan on getting some experience here and I'm going to quit you when you give me all you got me to give me, and then I'm going to move on up. No, they don't want to, do not say that. You're a sticker. What do you think we could do differently? I've never heard that one. I would not say that that would be a question. What do you like to do outside of work? Not going to the club and partying and twerking. That is not what we want to tell our potential employer. Why are you leaving your current job? Please don't say, I hate my boss. Just say that you feel like that you've grown past your position. They don't want to know because if you're talking bad about your previous employer, guess what? You're going to be talking bad about them too in a few days. Okay, so let's talk about the reasons why they're asking some of these questions. Why should we hire you? They're checking your confidence level. What is your greatest weakness? To check your self-awareness. Tell me about yourself, to check your communication skill and your to check your communication skills and how you present yourself. They left out a word there. Sorry, it took me a minute. Why do you want to work for our company? To know if you have researched about the company or not. What do you expect to be doing in 5 years? To check your career ambition and goals. So we're going to talk a little bit about some interview questions and the do's and don'ts. So let's look. Tell me about yourself. Don't. I was born in blank and I like walks on the beach. Do. In 2 minutes or less, tell them why you're qualified. What would you change about your last job? Don't. My boss, he was totally unrealistic. Do. I wish we had a larger training budget. What is your biggest weakness? I really don't have any big weaknesses. Everybody does. Even the person interviewing you does. You have to be self-aware. Again, here's the one turning a weakness into a strength that's really not a weakness, but it makes it sound like it. Not delegating enough. I realize I get overwhelmed when I think I have to do it all myself. It's not really a weakness, right? It shows dedication, hard work. Why should I hire you? Don't, because I'm the best candidate. Do. I'm a hard worker with a proven track record. Do you have any questions for me? No, I don't have any questions. Can you can you walk me through a typical day of someone in this role? That is a 100% amazing question.
Beautiful. I couldn't think of something better than that. That's
right.
Perfect.
That means you're already envisioning yourself in that role. There's that confidence right there. What can I do to help clarify that would make me hiring? Okay, this sentence. What can I help to clarify that would make hiring me an easy decision? I'm not sure I would use that one, but yeah, I was on the fence, but this was not made by me. So let's talk about some other questions you could ask. What are the day-to-day tasks of this job? I like number 2. What are the expectations of this position in the first 30, 60, and 90 days? How would my performance be measured if I were in this position? Another great one. What is the typical career path for a person in this position? Another fantastic one. What qualities would make one successful in this role? Kind of. I don't love that one. What are the most significant opportunities facing the company's department right now? I don't really care for that one either. Can you tell me about the company's core values? Love that. It gives the interviewer an opportunity to really tell you what the company is about. And what are the next steps in the hiring process? These are things that they are not allowed to ask you about. Race, age, religion, color, place of birth, disability, marital status, and children. You're free to answer if they ask you those questions, but you're not legally required to do so. All right. So let's take a look at this. Carissa is enjoying a good interview when the interviewer, a male supervisor, asks her if she's married. When Carissa replies that she's not, he asks if she has a boyfriend. What might the supervisor's motive be with this line of questioning? How should she respond? And is that appropriate? Well, we all know it's not appropriate, right? You'd be like, dude, I'm just here for an interview and you're hitting on me, please, right? Or if it was a lady or whoever the interviewer is. But if you're faced with a situation like that, just keep your cool. Remember that we talked about it. I really don't see it happening, but again, I live in a world of rose-colored glasses most of the time where I expect the best out of people. But just be aware that you do not have to accept inappropriate advances, okay? Now, the interview is over. We've had a great interview. So what do we do after? Follow-up is critical after an interview. Always send a thank you note, letter, or email to the person who conducted the interview. It can be challenging to figure out what to send to the interviewer. So let's talk about some of the things that help you indicate that. Send an email if the decision is going to be made quickly. Send an email later the day of the interview. Send a written thank you note or a letter to the facility if it's more conservative and formal. Also, it can be sent if the decision is going to be made in a week or two. Send a thank you note within 24 hours of the interview. Now, I'm going to tell you, send an email. Nobody really sends paper mail anymore, but I mean, if it's an old school facility, they would probably love to get a thank you note, right? But how many of us actually still send cards? I have one friend that still sends cards, Christmas cards, birthday cards. She loves it, but most people send emails, right? All right, so I told you it was going to be quick and painless. Does anybody have any questions or anything they would like to add?
I do, not related to this. I was looking at one of the daily assignments Miss Danielle put, and it says chapters 22 and 23. I didn't see a chapter 23.
Well,
I asked her the same thing. Because I had that problem.
Mhm.
And it's chapter 22 all the way to chapter 23, if there would be a 23.
Okay.
Thank you, Amanda. I appreciate
you.
that you knew how to do that, that you knew the
Thank
answer.
you, because I was like, I kept looking at it. I was like, where's chapter 23?
I think we have like 26 or 27 students with us today. Guys, that is amazing. Thank you so much for coming to Zoom and spending time with us. Any more questions before I let you go on with your day? You know it. I say it every time we're
No,
together.
ma'am.
It's my favorite time of the week when I get to come be with you guys. Miss Brandy?
Now I'm having trouble setting up my resume.
Well, get
Could I
with
talk to Danielle about that?
Miss Danielle. Yes, you need to talk with Miss Danielle. But honestly, Amanda, if you go on and Google resume template, Google Documents has one, Microsoft Word has one, and just use the template. You don't have to reinvent the wheel here. You can just have the basics. And what will happen is once you turn in your resume, we will turn it into Career Services, and they're the ones who will get with you to tweak it and to make it the very best it can be. Okay. So
Okay.
just use a template. Don't overthink. Miss Brandy, do you have anything to add?
Not really. I think you covered it all pretty well. Yeah, that was great. It was
Well,
great.
did you guys learn something? Did you have fun at least?
Yes, ma'am.
Y'all got to
Yes.
boost my ego here. Make me feel good.
Yes, for sure.
Aw, guys. It's like I asked for the compliment or something.
I do have one quick thing. For my class. We did get the results of the drawings for who won what. Unfortunately, there were no winners in my class. I had
No.
a fair amount of y'all that really went the extra mile to be in every day and get your perfect attendance, and I appreciate that so much. But unfortunately, there were no winners from the drawing in my class. So I
I
apologize.
don't believe that for a second, Miss Brittany. They're all winners. Every single one of
You're
you.
right.
You're sitting here, you're dedicated. Yes, it was a great incentive to come to class, but
Yeah.
you're even here afterwards, right? You're even here afterwards.
That's it.
We're proud of you guys. Again, no Zoom on Tuesday because we are off for Fat Tuesday. Alexandria doesn't really do all of that. So you guys enjoy. Amanda, yes?
Question. Because I keep forgetting to do on the Tuesdays. Where are those? Where can I find them? Go back and watch them.
Well, you'd have to get with Miss Danielle, but I know for me, I'm putting mine under Zoom links. If you click Zoom, it should be attached right there. But again, I didn't set up Miss Danielle's stuff, so you'd have to get with her. But that's where I would look first, Amanda. I know. Go ahead, Miss Brandy.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Mm-mm.
I'm bad about that today. For my class, they're under certification resources. I have them listed there. Everything dealing with NCCT prep and all of in certification in my class is under that one tab.
Miss
Just-
Brandy,
Yes, ma'am.
do we have any assignments due today? Because the last assignment that I saw was just the end of the vision board / career board.
The facility project?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. That was the end of module 157. We're now, as of Wednesday, I think, we're in module 158, which is, they kind of labeled it funny. It's called job seeking. You'll need to go to my courses and it'll show you there. And once you click on it in my courses, it will show up on your dashboard. I have figured that out. You have to find your new module in my courses up at the top to the left side. And once you click in it the first time, it'll start showing up on your dashboard as active courses. So that's where you can find that. But yes, you do have assignments due today, every day.
Yeah, that's why I was confused because it wasn't popping up where I got it.
Where you would think it would. Same
Yeah.
thing for me. Same thing for me. I didn't see it when it was built and I had to bother the registrar and everybody else for them to tell me, oh, it's there. You're just not looking good enough. So I get it.
Alicia, what you got?
Yeah, I was wondering if we turn assignments in a day early, if it lets us, does it still count for that day as being present in class?
Ask Miss
I'm asking
Danielle.
because my daughter kind of took off and I have 4 kids now.
Mhm. Well, I'm going to say
So-
we all do things a little differently.
Right.
I've begun to open up my daily assignments every single, I just open up all at one time.
Right.
And I just grade the one that's due that day. So for example, but again, that is an individual instructor that makes
Right.
that decision. So
Yeah.
I would say that if she has it open and she's allowing that,
Mhm.
then she's probably not, she's just letting you put it in and then she just is grading the one day at a time.
Like I have a couple of them done early, and I have like the kids all have shots and dentist appointments coming up, but the 4 of them, and it's like I have the assignment done early just so I don't fall behind, but I didn't know if I turned it in early if I still got credit for being present that day.
just double check with Miss Danielle and she can give you I don't want to say, oh yeah, and then it be wrong. And then you come
Right.
back and say, Miss Marcia told me, and then I got to deal with
Right.
Miss Danielle. And I make it a rule to never deal with Miss Danielle.
I think Miss Danielle does accept the work early.
Yeah,
Okay.
I
Yes, ma'am.
all right. I'm gonna
Yeah, I
let,
just
I'm gonna let you take the heat for that.
Yeah, because I asked her previously if I could
Mhm.
turn my work in early, and she told me that was fine. So I think she accepts.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to know because with having 4 kids.